Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of the Leadership with Heart podcast. Okay, so if you're listening and you've been following along with me for a long while, I've had the podcast since 2018. And I remember that time talking to my podcast producer. He wasn't my producer yet. And we were talking about the title of the podcast. And at that time, I really felt like Leadership with Heart was the right way to go. I felt like the world was really missing this caring concept and that it was primed to really have me go deeper in conversations that I could really evangelize this message much further. And of course, from the Leadership with Heart podcast came the Art of Caring Leadership book, which is a true bestseller out in the world. And multiple books have come from that, stemmed from that content based upon the conversations I've had here. First, I want to say thank you to those who have been with me on this particular journey. One of the things I'm moving to now is I am rebranding the show. So you will still hear me here talking about some similar things with kind of similar people, but I'm going to be expanding it. And so the Leadership with Heart podcast will turn into, be rebranded as Becoming Unshakable podcast by Heather Younger. And I want to explain to you, for those who are listening and maybe have been with me on this journey, why I'm deciding to go this route. Okay, so like probably many of you, you maybe have been, let's say you've been in a job or you've been down one particular track when it comes to a sport or a relationship. And sometimes you're like, I think it's time to go a different route. Maybe you feel like it's just run its course. Maybe you feel like you've evolved as a person. And for me, that's exactly where I am. I have now, gosh, I have four children. They're much older now. Three are adults and one still home. And during the process of evolving as a parent and evolving as a human, as a speaker, as a consultant, like we all evolve, I started to listen, over the years, been listening to just the trends. What's going on in the audiences of the people, with the people I'm speaking to? What's happening to the people in the focus groups I'm doing? When I'm consulting with clients, what am I looking at when it comes to leaders? When I'm coaching leaders in groups, what am I seeing in those leaders? And so over the years, one thing that's really evolved is I still think, by the way, that caring leadership and leading with heart is absolutely necessary and is a timeless thing or way of being that we'll always need to do. One of the things I want to do though is bring to the surface this idea that we can't, for some strange reason, be a caring, compassionate person and a strong person that's grounded in what we believe in, who we are, and just understanding that our journey has ups and downs. And so when this unshakable concept was born, it really is this idea of taking both that strong, hard, maybe outer shell, grounded person who's clear in what they stand for, who just solid, and when the foundation may seem shaky, they seem solid. And at the same time, this caring concept that still remains soft. And soft, when I mean soft, and people are loyal to that, compassionate towards other people, supporting and uplifting other people, building strong relationships with other people. So being caring and compassionate, and at the same time holding that strength and that clarity of you as a person, and being able to cohabit those spaces is what unshakable leadership is. It's the combining of the strong and the hard and the soft and the squishy, combining it together to create this unshakable human, this unshakable leader. Here's what I want to say about unshakable, though. It doesn't mean that you've never been shaken. It doesn't mean that life doesn't hit us. It doesn't mean that we don't fall down, maybe even whine a little bit and get back up. But that's the issue, isn't it? It is life is happening to every single one of us. Some of us remain grounded through all of the ups and downs, and some of us go way off the rails and maybe have a hard time coming back to center. This new iteration of Heather Younger as a speaker, a consultant, a parent, is just someone who decides to live more fully as who I am, which is both the caring and compassionate side and that strong, kind of commanding, grounded, resilient person that I am. And my goal is, like it has always been, to say, wherever my strengths are, whatever the things that I value are most, are the things I'm going to lean into, and I want to teach other leaders those things. Does that mean I'm perfect? Do I think I'm perfect? No. Evolving and realizing that this entire time I have been unshakable, but being okay with saying, with admitting that I have both, that I can do both. And so one of the things that really came to the surface for me on this was I've been speaking lately, particularly post the pandemic, post George Floyd, speaking to different people and hearing leaders, even executives, go two different courses with their thinking. Leaders saying, oh my gosh, we need to have more accountability. We need people to get butts in seats and perform. We need to have them come back to the office and get things done. And at the same time, seeing on the other side, mid-level managers, even senior managers, feeling like their arms are tied a little bit, as if they have to wait around for permission from those same executives to go do their job the way they know they should do it, to show up with care and concern and support, to uplift their team so their team does go and performing the way they need to. So the managers are getting burnt out, feeling limited, feeling like their hands are tied. And the executives are going, can you please just get to work? Can you please just get this done? And so there's all these kind of complex sides of the workplace experience, and we as humans, and then the leaders who are really there to guide the journey for team members that are in the workplace. So, voila, I come to this awakening as I have gone through my own evolution, realizing what's important to me, looking at my values, having more clarity about not only who I am and who I've always been, but who I want the world to see, let's say, and maybe in a slightly different light. And it has not been an easy journey. Children have helped me get there. Me seeing how their evolution is as humans helps me understand exactly who I am in the journey and what this next iteration is for me. So as we think of the Becoming Unshakable podcast, you're going to see me interviewing people. There'll be some people who are, might still be managing or teams leading organizations, but you might see people who I saw a part of their journey. Could be personal element of their journey, something that was related to resilience, something about being a great human. And I wanted to show the kind of many different facets of the human experience from a leadership perspective. And leadership for me, remember, for me, is not just about title that we hold. It could be a speaker, it could be a child, it could be a teenager, it can be a coach, it can be an executive, it could be anybody. And so what I do by becoming unshakable is I'm not cornering myself to say it has to be people who lead people, who manage people. That's predominantly who's been on my show up to this point. But I think it's going to be people who can teach us lots of new things. I've been already learning so much, and they can teach me more, and they'll teach you more. And it's going to be cool to see what this iteration looks like. Along the lines of the podcast, even my speaking journey and the way I package that is also changing a little bit. Knowing though that I always will be the caring leader. I will always be the compassionate person who listens deeply to people. And I happen to be someone who is a more grounded person, even when the world seems a little bit topsy-turvy, a lot topsy-turvy, let's just say. And while I too have to kind of have a pity party here and there, and while I have to feel, emotions of helplessness and feel, hurt and all the things that we do as humans, that does not mean that I'm less unshakable. And it doesn't mean that I'm not susceptible to being shaken. That's not what I want you to walk away with. So if we can have more clarity, if we can be human, if we can be compassionate, if we can have our strength of resolve when the ground feels shaky, when there's a lot of change around us, when there's pressures that are hitting us left and right, who are we as people? I want to start uncovering that more and more. Why do we make different choices? How does that impact us at home? How does that spill over into work? This is kind of the behavioral scientist element of me, the social psychologist element of me that is just coming to the surface to go deeper. I'm hoping it'll help all of you. I hope you continue with me on this journey. Just send your friends this way, and continue to receive value, but just in a slightly different way, and that you will be empowered in the process to be the leader that you were always meant to be, to bring out in yourself the best version of yourself in all angles of yourself, to not hide or cower in the face of what's happening around you as it relates to change, and to feel really just inspired through the conversations I have, through my just solo shows and conversations and real life stories I share with you, to just start to peel back the layers and the layers that we put on ourselves that stop us from being our best, most unshakable self. So look forward to seeing you on this journey, hearing from you on this journey, to all the things that you might be perceiving on the new journey that I'm taking. But I hope that you stay close to me. Take care, everybody. See you on the next episode, on the very first episode of Becoming Unshakable. Take care.